All right, well, let's talk about North Carolina Courage versus Racing Louisville FC. This one, a narrow match. And I think for the predictions, is this the game that we split, Lisa? Is
Yes,
this the combo breaker?
Yep, I had Louisville. You had North Carolina. This was our combo breaker, the first one.
All right. I hate to see it because I almost thought this one was going to be a draw, but
I know.
North Carolina Courage said we're going to take all 3 points. I like what we saw out of Casey Murphy. I think
Mm,
this is a player that we have seen her profile elevate over the last couple of years, whether it's been with the national team or with North Carolina Courage. And this is another clean sheet for this player before she
yeah,
dips out to the World Cup for possibly backup responsibility. Who knows? Who knows how that group stage, who
we
the
don't
coaching
know
staff is going to
actually.
handle. How is the coaching staff going to handle that group stage? And will we see Casey Murphy get a game? I'm
Yeah.
curious about it. I think a game like this just sort of made me be like, I don't know. There's some talent here. I think in the goalkeepers unit.
Yes.
But on the other side of things, despite not getting a goal in this game, we saw some more standout play from Savannah DeMello, who we got to see get named to the roster as well. I think maybe if you're Louisville, you're looking at this one as possibly a missed opportunity. We were excited for this game in the preview. We felt that there was maybe this was possibly the under the radar
Yeah.
kind of match for folks because there were so many like big headliner ticket kind of games. We had, we talked about San Diego Wave and OL Reign. We just got done talking about Portland Thorns, versus Washington Spirit. And we've got North Carolina Courage just very quietly hanging out in the upper half of the table
Climbing.
while just climbing and climbing and climbing.
Yeah, they're climbing, they're getting to the top. They're deceivingly continuing to do this, but in like the best way possible. I mean, when you look at like the players that North Carolina has lost, right? They're going up against two of them, Carson Pickett, Abby Urseg. But as you talked about, Casey Murphy had a tremendous game, and she's been consistent in goal. That's why she's on the World Cup roster for the United States, because she's been doing so well. And I think you look at the midfield with Denise O'Sullivan, Caroline, Maori, like these players, we just talked about it with Kansas City, right? Like if Casey's midfield can get more time together, they're going to do better. But they were dealing with injuries. They had to get consistency playing. North Carolina, they started the year struggling in their midfield and they couldn't get a grasp on it. But now that they've had time under their belt, they've got it down. They've got a system down where Sean Nahas can play his system that he's been trying to implement into this team, which is a heavy possession team using their outside backs to get forward. That's why he made a trade for Emily Fox. So that's the type of style he wanted to play. And we see from Emily Fox, another U.S. international going to Australia, that she can get forward and send crosses into the box, which we've known from her year last year with Racing Louisville, with what she's done at the international level. And then you have Ryan Williams, who had floated from a center back into an outside back. And Ryan Williams can be nowhere else except on the flank of the field, because Williams contributes so much in the attack with her crosses, with her deception, her overlapping runs. She ends up getting the assists on the Tyler Lucy game-winning goal tonight for North Carolina. It's been fun to watch Williams and Fox and Sean Nahas mold this team from what we knew of North Carolina, which was fast, getting behind. They're going to counter press. You look at Jess McDonald, Lynn Williams, the fast, speedy forwards that North Carolina had for years. And now they've got a bit more crafty players. They're going to look to keep the ball. They're going to look to send crosses in and get on the end of it.
I like that there's sometimes long stretches of kind of lulling us into the opposition into like a false sense of security. Look, I think I've said a few times on this show that the footage, the tape is out. There's tape. The footage is there on DeMello. I think there's a way to target or try to scout that player, and I think that North Carolina Courage kind of also put the blueprint out there as well. Like, how do you try to contain or isolate, the talent of this player who's been going on an absolute tear this season? and it forced other players to really kind of get involved or be that outlet. I mean, we saw a good game from Thembi Kgatlana for Racing Louisville. The player that
Massive.
was just like kind of really the attacker to find herself in the final third, to try to get shots off and make and generate something for Racing.
Good backdoor runs, good off-ball
Yep.
movement from Kgatlana. Yeah, honestly, really good.
But they just couldn't buy a goal.
Yeah, I know.
And listen, you're going up against Casey Murphy, so I don't I don't blame him. That's a very tall goalkeeper to try to beat around there. But I thought the Courage have had a couple games here where they have shown that they can break through on goal, but they've also had games this season where they can show they can win those sort of tightly contested, narrow scoreline type of games. And the fact that this was another one for them, I think is just a really good indication of how they are like really adaptable to certain tempos and certain momentum shifts of a game. They look very cool under pressure, and I think that is a dangerous recipe for visiting teams or opposing teams when they go up against the Courage. So it's another 3 points for them. It bumps them up in the standings, and we're going to talk about that some more. But we have one more game to recap, a game that's probably fresh on everyone's mind because it was one of the games that ended week 13. We have to talk about New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC versus Chicago Red Stars. Gotham FC finally getting a win, closing out the month of June. It's been a tough one for them. They absolutely cooled off a bit in June, but they finally got an elusive 3 points in this 2-1 victory against ChicagoRed Stars. Believe we both had Gotham in this one. We said, hey, maybe this is the game they're going to do it. Oh, no, I had Chicago.
You had your birthday pick.
I said no common sense. Preview time. For people didn't join us in the preview, I said, you know what? It's my birthday. I don't want any common sense. I just want Chicago to get a win, and hopefully they do it for my birthday. Didn't happen, but shout out to Carrie Ricardo because she got a goal. That was dope. Made it interesting for a little while, but Gotham getting it done and finally closing out some points.
There's so many different factors happening with this game, starting with the starting lineup. We had Kelly O'Hara in the front line for Gotham. No longer an outside back in the front line. We had Allie Long instead of defensive midfield dropping into the back line for Gotham. We also had, just before the kickoff happened, just a few hours before, Gotham actually making an announcement of signing a new player, an injury replacement player in Mana Shim, making her way onto this roster, the first time back in the league in a number of years. She was started in the league in 2013, and she was part of the catalyst of players that enacted change, not only with the union and the players union and the rules that they were able to put into place, but making sure that it's a fair and equal place. She's now working with US Soccer and Safe Sport to kind of make sure that the US women's national team and the men's national team is safe, and they have HR and people in place. But she made herself onto this Gotham roster to start the game. She was available for selection today. And you know who else was? Midge Purce. Midge Purce for Gotham. It was like the pieces kind of falling into place for Gotham today, and Kelly O'Hara somehow starting in the front line.
You know what? I like the response from Chicago, honestly, because you're a bottom table team at this moment. You are having a historically bad season in terms of things that you've had to go through as a club. And you have Gotham, who has mostly been in the upper half of the table, despite not having a great June. They're still there. They're still considered contenders. You have your head coach in Juan Carlos Alvaro saying, you know what? I'm just going to try stuff against Chicago Red Stars. That is like, if you're the opposing team, you're like, that's disrespectful, bro. That's disrespectful. So I like their response. I thought that they played up well against Gotham tonight, but just not enough to get the result. Again, it's just there are moments you can see phases of the game for Chicago Red Stars where they don't have the players, the depth, the bench to sort of come in and have those kind of X factor type of players to come in and kind of push the game or tip it into another area or shift up the tempo or steal back the momentum. But we saw that there were areas where we you could see Bianca St. George
Yeah.
exposing some of the changes in the shift for Gotham, but
I think Chicago's a bit frustrated that they didn't get a goal until the 55th minute from Recaro, especially when you look at
yeah.
the first 20 minutes of this game. Chicago had a lot of momentum. They had, as you just mentioned, St. George running forward, trying to get on the end of things, putting Gotham's back line into tough situations that they had to deal with. And Abby Smith, goalkeeper for Gotham, has been tremendous this year. She keeps being put under pressure, and she plays very aggressive in her goalkeeper position. She's high off her line. She comes out of the box, and sometimes she can get put in sticky situations, but she was able to work her way out of them tonight against the Chicago side. But there was a few moments where Chicago probably could have had one on Smith and on Gotham, where they're going to want those back. They really are. But Lynn Williams, she gets the ball rolling for Gotham at the start of the second half. Gotham wasting no time. Lynn Williams wasting absolutely no time. First minute of the second half, she gets on the scoreboard before the lightning delay happens. Talk about a momentum killer.
Yeah.
Talk about a momentum killer for Gotham, at least at that point, because after a little bit over a 30-minute lightning delay in North Jersey at Red Bull Arena for Gotham and Chicago, the game gets going again. It's a corner kick for Gotham, and before you know it, Chicago Red Stars is down at the other end, and Carrie Recaro is finding the back of the net. Gotham looked like they were still in the locker room, getting ready to come out of the lightning delay. Chicago came out fighting and swinging.
I mean, maybe it was an opportunity, right? You utilize a unique opportunity with the weather delay to say, hey, let's try to hit the reset button here, because they scored way early into this second half, and eventually maybe you'll get a chance to get back out there and produce something. I loved the continued run from Recaro into the box. It was beautiful. It's something that I think folks haven't been able to witness out of Chicago. Players making these sort of dynamic and alternating runs to kind of get in a strong position to convert. But let's talk about how these goals also happen. I mean, we're talking about the first goal comes off of a long throw in. It's essentially a bit of a broken set piece energy. How do you not account for Lynn Williams at this point after everything she's done in 2023? It happens. And then you have another dead ball situation where there's a free kick set piece. It just not far from the goal. It's in a dangerous area just outside of the box. And you see a wall of 4 players and they watch this ball go over their heads. It's tough, and it's tough for Alyssa Nair, although she guesses correctly and makes an attempt. It just dips into the back of the net.
Allie Long for Gotham setting up this set piece with Nightswanger. Allie Long, we've seen her do this in years past. She missed all of last year. She was out on maternity leave. She gave birth to 2 twins, and now she gets this goal on the set piece. It's her first goal as a mom. A big goal for her to get the game winner. The excitement, the celebrations from her, it's awesome for her, but like a heartbreaker, as you mentioned, for Alyssa Nair in goal. The way that the shot happened on the set piece is just pieces kind of falling apart for Chicago a little bit, and Gotham able to kind of get back on the winning side of things after they didn't pick up a win in their last 4 games. They finally snapped that streak. Thanks to Allie Long, thanks to Lynn Williams getting goals for the Bats.
Good way to close out the month, right? After you kind of were searching for a full win, and you finally get it in the final weekend of June.